Thank you for having me back. I really appreciate it, each and every one of you. Some are new faces. Ron was grilling me earlier. Yes, thank you. I was invited here. And yes, I do improv, and that's fun and funny, but I don't try to be funny. I want to let you know that I hopefully am not going to be up here and be yuck yuck. If you're expecting a lot of jokes, a lot of gags, and that sort of thing, sorry, no, that's not what I do. I don't try to be funny. That's one of the principles of improv. Don't try to be funny. You just try to be real. Try to be true to life, to yourself, because life is funny enough, right? Now, it doesn't mean I don't want to have fun today. I want to have fun. And if humor and laughter arises, that is great. That is beautiful. I love it. I cherish it. But my intention is not to force it, to put on a show. What do you value about your leaders, your ministers, teachers, authors, people you come to connect with and seek inspiration from? Reverend Jackie, is it because how flashy and cool and beautiful, and pretty she dresses? She does, and she looks really cool and all that, but I don't think that's it. Is it because of how smart she is and how profound, and how much she knows about metaphysics? And she does know a lot, but if you ask yourself what keeps you coming back, is it because of that great term paper she wrote when she was in ministerial school? Probably not. It's probably because she's real, down to earth. You can connect with her. It's probably along those lines. And that is my goal. That is my intention. And that's what I find the activities and exercises of improv are about. So what is improv, for those of you who don't know? It's not stand-up comedy. It's improvisation. It's acting without a script. It's short form or long form, can be small plays even done or musicals done without a script in advance. So what happens when you do that? Well, when you're acting without a script, you really need to pay attention. You really need to be in the moment and notice what the other actors and performers on the stage are saying and doing, because you can't just kind of fall back out of it and then know you'll pick up on page 25. There is no page 25. You need to know and listen to what everybody else is saying and doing so that you can respond with the next line, create the next line as it comes. So that's why listening, if you were listening is the first skill of improv and spiritual improv. And the next skill, if you were listening during the meditation, is to yes and. It's to accept what the other people offer. If they suggest through what they're acting and doing and saying that you are in a taxi cab and you are driving to Maine, if you do not agree with them, accept that, acknowledge it by saying, oh yeah, this is a lovely trip. I wonder if we'll meet some moose when we get there. If you don't in some way acknowledge, accept, validate, if you contradict it, if they say, oh, boy, I hope we have enough money for this taxi, and you say, we're not in a taxi, we're in a bicycle, it falls. The scene, the vehicle, literally and figuratively, the vehicle for the scene to move forward crashes. Okay, so you have to yes and, you have to validate and accept what is coming your way and co-create with it. So those are the two primary skills of improv. I want you to get those established and set and talk about them and how that relates to a spiritual journey, especially how it relates to unity. What does all this have to do with unity teachings? By the way, what are unity teachings? Perhaps we should center on that a little bit. If you ask 3 different unity ministers, what is unity about, you will get 3 different answers. If you ask one unity minister, you'll probably get 3 different answers. There's a variety, right? We have our basic principles. We have our 12 powers. We know that prayer and meditation plays a strong part in it. But if you have traveled to any other unity churches, in the Kansas City area or across the country, across the world, you're going to get a variety of styles, of emphasis, of principles and beliefs. Some are very Bible-oriented, and I love Jesus. Some will never pick up the Bible, never talk about Jesus. And those are two Unity churches on the same street, right down the road from each other. I've been to both of those. And I love that that's part of the Unity movement. I love that there's a variety. I love that each place or center can gather and attract the right and perfect people who are wishing to learn and study and connect in the right and perfect way for them, for their communities. I love that diversity, that flexibility, that randomness. And that's one of the biggest challenges within the Unity movement. That it's not like you walk into a fast food restaurant, you order the number 5, you know what you're going to get. Everything is the same and consistent, no matter where you go. Well, we don't really have that. So if this is your first time at a Unity center, it could be very, very different than what the Unity movement or your Unity journey for yourself is going to look like elsewhere. So that is one of the challenges. So let's try to boil it down. What is Unity? What do we teach? What do we study? What do we believe? We believe there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. And I sure pray to God that one presence gets along with that one power most of the time. Thank you. That was a joke, by the way. That was a little gag. Yeah. But that is the common theme. That seems to be the central message of Unity, right? It has something to do with oneness. It's in the name, unity, oneness. We are all one. There is only one presence, and we are it. We are in it, or there's a spark of it in us, however you want to say it, however works best for you to relate to that idea. The truth of who and what we are is that divine source in our individualized expression of it, all in unique, special ways. So our journey, our practice, is to remember that oneness, is to remember that source, is to reconnect in that one with each other, with our environment, with our world, and in spirit, in God. However you want to look at it. How do we do that? We do that through prayer. We do that through meditation in all sorts of various forms. And for me, playing is one form. For me, playing is one way to connect with each other. This is a quote from Living in Balance. Living in Balance is a book I discovered when taking Mind, Body, Spirit class with Robert Brummett. And the book, Living in Balance, is by Joel and Michelle Levy. It's a long quote, so settle in. It's about play. At the heart of play is love and a deep sense of wonder and mutual discovery. Play is about balance, mystery, belonging, inclusion, trust, sacredness, fearlessness, touch, reciprocity, love, kindness, openness, and joy. It is about awareness, joining, blending, following, and contributing of energy. It is not about humiliation, rejection, competition, mocking, exclusion, admiration, defensiveness, or fear. End quote. That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. But that's what they describe as play. Let's talk about those things they said that it's not. All of these things that do not help us connect, things like mocking, competition, rejection, fear, and defensiveness. So to me, that's not what play is either. Admiration is on that list of what it's not, right? Putting someone above, that separates us, right? But anything when you're actually playing together, not just competing, but actually playing and mixing, that's when you find that touch, that trust, that sacredness, that connection. The Olympics are going on right now. I don't have anything to say about it, but the Olympics are going on right now. Not really much into sports or anything, but I will make an observation about the Olympics. So it is pretty cool that those athletes are striving to do their best. They're bringing out the best in themselves, in each other. And if we root for the home team, if we wave that flag and we cheer for our tribe, that's cool. That's fine. If that brings us in more connection, if that brings us more into oneness. And I invite you, if you are getting into that rah-rah and spirit, rooting for our team, our nation, our club, because of geography, because of some lines on a map, pay attention and notice if that is connecting or separating. Notice if that is bringing us closer together as people, as a human family, or separating us, separating me from the athletes in admiration, separating our flag from other flags. So that's simply an invitation to notice, to listen, which is the first rule of improv, the first skill of spiritual improv, to listen and pay attention without necessarily judging. Simply notice where that spirit, where that brings us. So if and when you do a workshop, a play shop with me, we're going to play all sorts of games about playing, about connecting, about dissolving the appearance of those walls that separate us. So it's all about listening, and it's all about yes-anding. I'm going to invite us to play a game right now, literally about yes and. Do I have a volunteer? Anybody who would like to come up and help me? Oh, thank you. Let's give Peggy a hand again. Let's give Peggy a hand. This is simply just called yes and. So I'm going to make a statement about an object. By the way, what's an object you might have in your kitchen? I heard stove. All right, I'm going to make a statement about it, and she's just going to say yes. Stoves are great to cook food in.
Yes, stoves are great.
Oh, she's already
to
taking
cook
this. I didn't even.
in.
No, just say yes. That's all I wanted you to do is say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Now you're going to make a statement about stoves.
I really like gas stoves over
Yes.
electric.
Oh, sorry, you weren't done.
I really like gas stoves over electric.
Yes. And stoves can be used to store knickknacks.
Yes.
And
those knickknacks get covered with grease and grime.
yes. There's no rules per se, and there's no wrong. It's not about right or wrong. But here's the right way to do it. Just say something positive about stoves. Every statement is just something positive, something like you're marketing for stoves. You want to say something positive about stoves. Yes, and stoves can be used as a television set.
Yes. And I really love televisions in the kitchen.
Yes, and stoves can house a small family.
Yes. And I like avocado green stoves.
Yes! And, all right, good job. Thank you very much. Let's give Peggy a hand. I'm going to do something scary. I'm going to invite you to stand up, pair off, not with a person next to you, but perhaps somebody you don't normally see, somebody you haven't seen in a while, somebody you've never met before in your life, if you can. And if you don't want to, that's fine. Of course, nobody's going to force you. You can practice this internally from your seat. No one's going to judge you. If you're comfortable with it, I'm going to ask you to pair off. I'm going to get you a suggestion of an object. It's not going to be stoves this time. It's going to be some other object. If the object is toothpick, it's not. It's not going to be toothpick. But if the object is toothpick, you just go back and forth with your partner, and you'll just say, toothpicks are good for picking your teeth. The response is yes. And, always start with those two words, yes, and Toothpicks are great to wear as a hair ornament or whatever. It doesn't have to be literally true. Just don't even force it. Just let it come out and just keep going on with that. Frisbee. Frisbees are, boom. All right. Excellent job, everybody. Now listen, back to that first skill. Listen to your own body right now. Energy, adrenaline. Listen, notice, pay attention. How does that feel? How did it feel? How do you feel right now? Without resistance, without judgment. Simply notice and yes, and that experience. Listen and yes, and to that internal experience right here, right now. And notice if you feel more connected. Notice if that was a prayer in action with another person. If you feel more connected to the people with whom you were yes-anding. If you feel more connected in this space. Feel more connected in spirit and truth in who and what you are at the very center of your own being. Very good. So for me, playing improv games to stay loose, to get out of our headspace, that is a form of prayer. That is a form of finding that center and oneness. For me it is. For you it might be formal prayer, chaplaincy, praying with another person, be walking a labyrinth, listening to music, and breaks down those walls. So whatever form, shape it comes in, I invite you to discover and explore what is right and perfect for you. Let's shift this into our formal affirmation time now. I invite you to stand up. You're here, fully present, here and now. And as we do so together, I embrace playing as praying and find oneness through funness. Let's say that one more time. I embrace playing as praying and find oneness through funness. Amen. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you.